Good morning students. In our previous video we have seen the Dark Ages which began from 500 AD until the end of Norman conquest happened in 1066. This is our second lecture on our series on British history. If you have not watched the first lecture on our series on British history, then you can simply check the link in the description below. So in this particular video we are going to look at Anglo-Norman age which began from 1066 until 1350. We will try to understand what is the history of British literature during this particular period, and we will also discuss some important works. We will not look at the authors in detail. Instead, we will try to understand the chronology of British history in a sequence. There will be around 8 to 10 questions in your UGC-NET examination from chronology, and out of these 10 questions, you will find 4 to 5 questions from British history. So if you know the history, it will not be very difficult for you to understand the writers and their major works. History is not random events taken together in a sequence, but history is something which tells us what was in past, what is the present, and what will be going to happen in the future. So in this video we are going to look at Anglo-Norman age, which is from 1066 to 1350 AD, and we must also understand that these years are the rough idea for us to understand British history. For some teachers, Anglo-Norman period is from 1066 to 1200, and for some teachers it began from 1066 to 1350. It depends on the teachers to teachers and the book they are referring from. So let's take a rough idea that Anglo-Norman period starts from 1066 and it ends with 1350. After the birth of Chaucer in 1340s, a new age began in English literature, which is Age of Chaucer. So before Age of Chaucer, there was Anglo-Norman period and it was from 1066 to 1350. So before beginning this video, if you are someone who really want to crack this UGC-NET examination and who wants to study under my guidance, then you can simply place your order on our study material on English literature. You can check the link in the description below to know more about this study material. Now without any further delay, let's begin this video. So in the previous video we have talked about the Battle of Hastings, where William the Conqueror became the King of England. With him came the tribe Normans, and that's why the name of the age changed from Anglo-Saxon to Anglo-Norman period. Norman is nothing but the dialect of French. For next few centuries, French ruled England. In fact, for few centuries, French remained the official language of England, and it was mostly spoken by the upper class. However, it is a debatable topic whether French really became the official language or not during this period. But we have to understand that in this particular period, Anglo-Norman age, French culture and French language dominated. The decline of French language began with Manga Carta of 1215. We will talk about Manga Carta of 1215 in later part of this video. So coming back, the Norman people or the French people who are now ruling the England were so much influenced by the English culture that many of them married the women of England. So after the Battle of Hastings, Norman came, and this Norman people started living in England, where they have a great influence of this English culture. Resultantly, French became the part of English language. Many words of English language are borrowed from French language. In fact, 30% of all English words came directly or indirectly from French language. You see, Britain was never separated from French. Just like Nepal, Pakistan and Bhutan are the neighboring country of India, France is the neighbor of Great Britain. Throughout the British literature, we consistently see the influence of French on English. There is also a long history of 100 years of war between France and Great Britain. This 100-year war began in 1337 and ended in 1453. So with the arrival of Norman people, French was introduced in the English language, and as I have just mentioned that around 30% of English words are taken directly or indirectly from French language. We see a new kind of literature started in English literature, which is metrical romance. This new literary genre, metrical romance, was introduced during this period. Metrical romance is nothing but the quest of a knight which is seeking the favor of his lady. So basically in this type of literary genre, there is a knight who goes on an adventure and he meets a lot of people during his journey, which push forward the story and makes the plot complex. At the end of the story, things get normal again and there is a happy ending. The famous example of metrical romance is Sir Gawain and Green Knight. Now I'm not going to talk about Sir Gawain and Green Knight in detail, as it will consume a lot of time and it is also difficult to cover everything in this video. However, I can tell you that this particular story, Sir Gawain and Green Knight, was found in the manuscript Cotton Narrow X. There were around 4 works in Cotton Narrow X manuscript, beginning from Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Pearl, Purity, and at last Patience. So remember all these 4 points because there were questions from these 4 works in your UGC-NET examination in the past. If possible, write down the name of all these 4 works in Google and take the printouts of the summaries. Highlight the important points and remember them. Moving forward, another important event that happened during this period was the foundation of Oxford University. It was in 1096 when Oxford University was established. Due to politics and interference of kings, scholars started to leave this Oxford University, and after 100 years, a new university was established. The name of this new university was Cambridge University, which was established in 1209. Today also, these 2 universities are the rivals of each other. And an important fact to remember here is that these 2 universities ranks in the top 10 universities in the world. So remember the years of both these universities. Oxford was established in 1096, whereas Cambridge was established in 1209. Moving forward, also do not forget the year when Thomas Beckett was assassinated. In fact, there are a number of works which was written on this particular event, such as Murder in Cathedral by T.S. Eliot. And also you will find the mention of Thomas Beckett in Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. Once in a while they will ask you questions from these 2 works. The play Murder in Cathedral is a very important play to understand the history of Thomas Beckett's assassination. So if you just go through this play by T.S. Eliot, you will understand the history of Thomas Beckett's assassination. Remember the year when he was assassinated, which is 1170. He was the Archbishop of Canterbury, which was appointed by King Henry II, a close friend of Thomas Becket. But later, both of them have different opinions, and Thomas Becket rejected to hear the voice of King Henry II. So later on, Thomas Becket was assassinated, planned by King Henry II. After the death of Thomas Becket, it seemed that some kind of miracles started happening in the Canterbury. Thomas Becket reappeared just like Jesus Christ reappeared after his crucifixion. So the cathedral where Thomas Becket died became a holy place. We see the mention of this particular shrine in Canterbury Tales, where a group of pilgrimage starts their journey from Tabard into Thomas Becket's shrine. So the assassination of Thomas Becket holds a firm ground in the history of British literature. Many works are inspired from this, and we have talked about these works also. If you have our study material, you will find all these important events and writers and their works in British Literature booklet. Make sure to study the history of English literature as we have mentioned in that booklet. Now moving forward, let's talk a little about the important document in the history of Great Britain. This particular document is famously known as Manga Carta of 1215. The Manga Carta was nothing but an agreement which restricted the power of King John of England by the group of people called Baron. Magna Carta is one of the key movements which later led in establishing Constitution of Great Britain. It is one of those documents which led in the formation of Parliament. So in 1215 the Parliament was formed, and after 5 centuries during the age of Restoration, we see Parliament became powerful than any king or queen of England. Just like we have Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha in India, the present day Parliament of England has 2 chambers, the House of Commoners and House of Lords. So remember that in 1215 the Magna Carta was signed by King John, and after that Parliament was formed in Great Britain. Although today we have kings and queen in England, but the power is under the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Prime Minister is the head of the government and he or she rules the England. So I hope you understood what Magna Carta of 1215 was all about. Another important event that happened during this Anglo-Norman period was 100 years of war. We are going to look at 100 years of war in our next lecture. So try to remember all these important events which we have discussed in this video. Although we have not discussed many writers from this age, but this sequence of British history will help you to understand British history in a better way. If you understand these events, it will be very easy for you to understand the writers and their important works. Before you understand writers, it is important for you to understand history. So I hope you found the video worth your time. If you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe the channel for more updates. So that's it for this video. Thank you.